Well, when it comes to Disney's cut the line system, there's a lot of thoughts on that. It's changed a lot over just the past few years. Initially, it was Fast Pass, which was included with your Disney ticket on your vacations. And then after COVID, it became Genie Plus, and then they started charging for it. And then from Genie Plus, it became Lightning Lane, which has gotten more complicated as they've had different options available to that. Probably the most controversial one being late last year, they introduced Lightning Lane Premier Pass, which is basically almost very similar to Universal Studios Express Pass style of system, but being much more expensive. But you can walk onto any attraction at any point one time per day, and you have to pick the park you do that at. And at the highest price point at Magic Kingdom, it can be $450 per person. So there's been lots of thoughts on this. But there's yet another change to this system, and we're going to go through some of the changes that have already happened and this new change and where this might lead to in the future here. So we're going to read through this article from Blog Mickey and get some thoughts on it here. So hi, I'm Jared with Capture the Magic, and I am joining you from very cold Florida. I know where you may be living. It may be even much colder, but down here it feels like it's 33, and most people down in Florida are not prepared for that. But reportedly, it might even snow or at least some flurries tonight. So it's cold basically all over the place, including Orlando's not as cold here, but Orlando's got some chill factor going on as well. But all right, this from Blog Mickey says, Disney's expensive Lightning Lane Premier Pass now available to all Walt Disney World guests. The top-of-the-line Skip the Line Premier Pass is now available for all guests visiting Walt Disney World. This continues the rollout of the program, which was originally exclusive to just Deluxe Resort Hotel guests. Following the initial test period, the program was then offered to all Walt Disney World Resort Hotel guests, still not available for guests staying off-site. But starting today, the Lightning Lane Premier Pass is now available to all guests visiting Walt Disney World. The Lightning Lane Premier Pass is offered at each of the 4 Walt Disney World theme parks, and it allows the holder to skip the line at each of the Lightning Lane eligible attractions once per day. The value is found in the fact that Lightning Lane Premier Pass holders don't need to book a return window to skip the line at attractions. Another benefit is that the Lightning Lane Premier Pass allows guests to skip the line at both Lightning Lane Multi-Pass attractions and Lightning Lane Single Pass attractions. With Lightning Lane Multi-Pass and Single Pass, guests need to purchase the Skip the Line Pass and book a return window at a specific attraction to use the pass. This runs the risk of attractions not having an ideal return window for your day, or an attraction could be completely sold out of return windows. The Lightning Lane Premier Pass skips the headache, allowing you to simply walk up to an eligible attraction and skip the regular line. I mean, essentially, you're paying for simplification of your trip. One of the things that, it's been a complaint about Disney for a long time, but it's only gotten more complicated, is just the complicated nature of going to Disney. It takes a lot of planning, and one of those being, if you back in the day, even if you had Fast Pass, you still had to schedule your Fast Passes. There was methods in which to try and get more, and now that is turned into Genie Plus and Lightning Lane. It's still the same idea here. You have to book your reservation, but it does require you to be on your phone quite a bit. It can be very stressful if you're trying to get certain attractions, if you feel like that is, a must-do for your trip, whereas if you do get the Premier Pass, kind of just how it works at Universal Studios with Express Pass, you can just walk up to these rides, go right into the Lightning Lane, and you don't have to schedule anything. So you're essentially paying for the ability to just simplify your trip on some level. With this change, to allow all guests to purchase Lightning Lane Premier Pass, guests staying at a Walt Disney World Resort Hotel are still given the advantage over guests who don't stay at a Walt Disney World Resort Hotel. Guests of Disney Resort Hotels and other select hotels can purchase passes up to 7 days in advance of their stay, and other guests can purchase passes up to 3 days in advance of their park visit. It says, here's a bit more about the pre-arrival booking process. 7 days in advance for eligible resort hotel guests. When staying at Disney Resort Hotels or other select hotels, guests can purchase Lightning Lane Premier Pass starting 7 days before their first day of their resort stay for the length of stay up to 14 days. Says not staying at a Disney Resort Hotel or other select hotel, then you can purchase Lightning Lane Premier Passes 3 days in advance, which this includes guests with date-based theme park tickets, guests with other types of tickets, and then annual pass holders would fall into this as well. It says Walt Disney World says that the Lightning Lane Premier Pass is still in a piloting rollout phase, which means that they are very limited quantities of the pass offered on any given day. The title of the article calls the Lightning Lane Premier Pass expensive, and it is. While a multi-pass option or single pass option hasn't broken through the $40 per day barrier, I think it probably soon will, but thus far it has not, the Premier Pass can be more than 10 times that price. At Magic Kingdom, during the busy holiday season, Premier Pass reached a price of $449 per person per day. Note that you're only purchasing Premier Pass for a single theme park as well. You can only purchase Premier Pass at one park per day, so no park hopping, line skipping with the Premier Pass. So that said, the elimination of the booking window and availability headaches can be worth it to some guests. I don't know if this change, I mean, obviously, like the article said, this changed from initially, it was just if you stayed at a deluxe hotel, you were able to purchase this, then it changed to all guests staying at Disney hotels, and now it's to everybody. I don't know if this is an indication that it's not selling. It did sell out over some of the days during the holiday season, which is a very busy time for Disney. So it's hard to know. Obviously, Disney is not going to come out and say, hey, these aren't selling or whatever it is. They're not going to come out and say the reason for that. This could be just part of the pilot program where they're just starting with a very small quantity before they roll it out to the more general public, which is something they've done in the past. If you look at how they rolled out mobile ordering, they would start at one location before they didn't make it go live resort wide right off the bat. So it could be part of just the rollout of this, how it's going to work. Because again, it's a pilot program. And they've even said there are going to be changes to this program as it goes along. So it could be just part of what they planned on doing. It could also mean that it's not selling as well. So you're just opening this up to a bigger pool of people that are able to purchase it. Because there are some people, like whenever it was only for deluxe guests, I mean, those guests are already spending a lot of money to stay at a deluxe hotel at Disney. And those people may not also want to spend, $450 per person if you want to do Magic Kingdom during the busiest time of year to get a Premier Pass, whereas some people would likely stay at cheaper hotels that maybe would splurge for this. Now, personally speaking, I will never buy Premier Pass, probably just on principle. I don't see the value in paying that much money for a skip the line system. I would much, I think there's other ways in which you can do it to plan for it, to ride the things that you do want to ride. But we do go to, Universal and Disney quite often, so we're able to kind of plan these things out a bit. And so I understand if you're somebody that doesn't go a lot, you just want to be able to get the most out of your trip, you have the discretionary income, like there are people that will buy this and probably people that will get it and think it is worth it. It just definitely depends on where you put value to time and things of that nature. And I've had questions about the fact that this is offered on top of Lightning Lane, Single Pass, and Multi Pass, and just how this makes the Lightning Lanes move. I do think at some point, I'm not going to predict that it'll happen, but I'm not going to be surprised if Disney just moves to this Lightning Lane Premier style of cut the line system as the only pass they offer, because I've often said I think Universal's system, Express Pass, works the best. Yes, it is expensive. Not as expensive as Disney's. Universal used to get flack for how expensive their Express Pass is. Depending on the day you go, it can be upward, close to $200, if not more. But, Disney, obviously, theirs is much more expensive now, and it doesn't have the same benefits as Express Pass, whereas Express Pass, if you get the unlimited, you can ride all the rides you want unlimited all day long, whereas Disney's is just one. You basically go on one ride and that's it. You can't redo that same ride over and over again in the Lightning Lane. But I do think overall it is better for the people that do get it. It works much better. I do think the Express Pass style or Premier Pass style of system impacts standby lines the least, because you don't have as many people with these Lightning Lanes walking around that then are going to affect the standby, because that's something that does happen. If you have a lot of people in the Lightning Lane, they are going to slow down the standby line to allow the more Lightning Lane people to go through. So that is something that it does happen. So I do think a Premier Pass system does work better. We've done previous videos talking about the flow of this and why it works better. At least in my opinion, I think it's a system that does work better. So I do think at some point Disney could move to this system, and you could be seeing this, they're rolling this out more and more, and then eventually maybe switching over to it. But maybe, I don't know if they'll do that. I don't know if that's something that they probably want to be able to get the most money they can out of this. So if you have the, multi-passes, single passes, and the Premier Passes, that is even much more revenue they can potentially pull from that. And like I said, we're not going to be buying a Premier Pass anytime soon. And to be fair, we have never bought it at Universal either. We do have a Premier Pass annual pass holder over at Universal, so we get Express Pass included after 4 o'clock there, which is a great perk, by the way. I kind of wish they would add something like that over at Disney. But also, if you stay at one of the premier hotels at Universal, you're able to get the Express Pass with that. So we've gotten it through those two ways. We've never bought it outright. So it's just not something that we would do personally. But I am curious if anybody watching this has purchased Premier Pass from Disney, if you do think it's worth it. I've heard some people, say they got it, and a lot of people have been fairly happy with it. So I'm very, genuinely curious about people's feedback about this, because I don't know where that stands. If people thought it was worth it, if they paid, say, $400 per person, was it worth it? Because I think when you start pricing that with like a VIP tour, sometimes depending on the size of your party, it can make a lot more sense to do a VIP tour, and then you're also able to just park hop, go to any park in any given day, and I feel like you would probably get more out of your money for that. But I've also, I've many times felt like the Premier Pass is geared toward people who probably don't know a ton about how the, theme parks work. They're not really into it. They have discretionary income. It's a busy day, and they just say, hey, let's get this so that we can ride the stuff we want to ride and not have to worry about it. And to those people, it could totally be worth it, depending on how, your perspective, how you look at it. But I am genuinely curious if anybody out there has purchased the Premier Pass. How did it work? Did you think it was worth it? Because honestly, do not know. But as of now, if you do want to purchase Premier Pass, anybody can get it at this point. So if that's something you do want to splurge on, you can do that without having to stay on Disney World property. But you have to do that 3 days in advance. So I suppose Premier Passes technically could sell out in that 7 day, because if you're staying on property, you do get 7 days in advance versus the 3 for everybody else. So at this point, given it's not a super busy time of year outside of Christmas, I don't really think you're going to see these sell out too much. I think it was like 4 or 5 days during the Christmas season. I think Premier Pass sold out, but I don't remember which parks. But I do know on some days it has sold out. But again, we don't know how many passes are out there. That's a genuine question that I have, is how many of these Premier Passes are they selling per day? And, how does that affect the rest of the lines? That's, it's something I would like to know. We'll probably never find that out. But, it's something just from a general theme park operation standpoint, I would be very curious to know those numbers about that. But as of now, I don't think Lightning Lane probably is going to go away anytime soon. We'll probably continue to see more tweaks with this, because at one point before Disney rolled out the Genie Plus, they actually contemplated just doing this Lightning Lane Premier Pass as the only cut the line system. And everything I've heard, they were close to doing that. Then they decided to go much more like a fast pass style system. And, so there is the potential out there that at some point they could just switch this back over to this Premier Pass style at some point in the future. Again, I haven't heard anything that they will, other than the fact that at one point they had talked about doing it. So it is something they could do down the road, which I do think if they went that way, they could do what Universal does and say, if you stay at a Disney Deluxe, you get it included in your hotel stay. That, I think that would be a great perk for hotel guests in that way. It would just open them up to having more benefits, I guess you could say, for hotel guests and certain levels of people that are, paying more money to experience aspects of the Disney parks. It could be something that's included in there. Would they do that? Current Disney, probably not. But again, as they continue to compete with Universal, they could need to start offering more perks, and that is a way in which they could do that. So it's something they potentially could do in the future. But either way, as of now, if you do want to get Premier Pass when it comes to Disney World, you can purchase it even if you're not staying on property. You do have to do it within that 3-day window if you're not staying on property. But other than that, you have just as much access to it as anybody else does. But either way, that's going to be it, though, for this video. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel, as we do lots of coverage here of Universal Studios, Epic Universe, Disney World, and pop culture. And again, let us know in the comments, if you have purchased Premier Pass, did you think it was worth it, and would you get it again? And if you haven't, are you considering getting Premier Pass? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.